All right, the Reds, it's the preview show. Porto v Liverpool in the quarter-finals of the European Cup. I'm calling it that today, why not? It's the Champions League if you want to be a pedant. Anyway. Ian,
you all right, mate? Yeah!
Ian Ryan and the returning Paul Cope with us here. Lots of people been asking where he's been and what he's been up to. So where you been and what have you been up to, lad?
Been in his basement.
In my basement.
In your basement? What, you...
Fritzl chat.
It's mad that, isn't it? I found that. I only heard that when I walked in before.
Let him out for a day.
It was all right.
Well, mate.
It was all right, yeah. I mean, he's got some beds in there and that's it.
So where have you been?
Bali, basically 10 weeks.
Good?
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, incredible.
And you've got a book out?
Yeah. I need to start doing some work on that again now.
Yeah.
I kept saying to people while I was away, like, I've genuinely been so happy being in Bali in the sun and all that. And then I'm chatting to people who've got no interest in footy. I'm like, I need to go back to Liverpool though, and like, why? And like, long story that you won't understand, but I support this team and they've been shite for most of my life. And now they've chosen for when I'm away to turn into the greatest team I've ever seen. So I'm going home. And here
he is, he's back for the important bit, because Liverpool are boss. They're aiming for the semi-final of this competition for the second successive year. 2-0 up from the first leg as well. Fairly comfortable in the first leg, Ian, and most Reds that I've been speaking to this week see it as a bit of a gimme that we're going to go through. We need to be careful with that, of course. Well, we don't, though. We don't need to be careful with that as far. We're not going to go and play, thankfully. So... The Reds, like, their mentality has been brilliant all season. They know how to win games. They're getting better and better and better at it. Klopp's got this perfect record in two-legged fixtures as well. Porto, okay, they're better at home than they are away. They've got an awful away record, decent home record. They beat Roma at home as well. So, you know, there's maybe a little bit where you need to be a little bit wary. And they've got a couple of returning players. But nevertheless, all that said, Liverpool are going to go through.
You'd have to think so, wouldn't you? I mean, it's very, very rare that you see a team take a first leg lead 2-0 and then blow it second leg. It doesn't happen very often, does it? And there's a reason for that. So you're absolutely right. We're in pole position, and I was thinking about this before. I mean, sitting by me in the Kop, there's a couple of fucking lunatics, to be honest. Who if we're not winning a game within the first 45 minutes, they start losing their heads a little bit. And whilst I get that a little bit because of the pressure situation, you have to say now, you've got to trust this football team. We're at a point now where, Kopi mentioned it before, you know, through most of his lifetime, we've been a bit shit. And there has been times where we'll throw one in. But at the minute, Robbo, you don't see Liverpool throwing one in, really. I mean, don't get me wrong, anyone can lose a football match. But as it stands now, we've lost one league game all season. All right, in the Champions League, there's a couple of ropey results early on, but I think it's really hard to manage a successful league campaign and a European campaign. At the minute, we're doing it. But you've got to back these lads, you've got to trust them. They've shown us no signs of kind of flagging or failing in any way. And they're really good at managing different situations across all kinds of different problems, different football matches. They've been really good at that. So we trust them again, and I absolutely think we'll go through. I think we'll win the game, which obviously will mean we'll win the tie as well.
And the reductive stuff, Paul, is just that, in that, you know, we've got to a Europa League final under Klopp. We've got to a Champions League final under Klopp. Of course, banter people will go, oh, but they lost. But you're still getting that far in a competition again and again and again. Having that record that I mentioned in the two-legged ties. This is no fluke. This is a manager who knows what he's doing in Europe.
Yeah, we've just done the main show, haven't we, and talked about stuff like this. And this for me, watching it from afar, this is why everyone's shitting themselves so much outside of being Liverpool fans, because they know what's happening here. Anyone who's got two brain cells to rub together, no, this isn't a fluke. This has been building for a while now. Where Klopp has taken us from and to is incredible. It's been funny watching when you've watched the draws for the rounds in the Champions League, and it goes to like places like Barcelona, and they're saying, yeah, we just didn't want Liverpool. They're the moments where I'm like, yeah, there's something special happening here, because forget the noises from fans from within the club and outside the club. I like listening to what the pros at other places are talking about, and when they're like, the Munich manager after we played them, he's like, yeah, they're the best at this in the world. So I don't know what do you want me to say. Sorry, you just said this on the main show. He gets beat 2-0 at Anfield, and he's basically like, yeah, that's all right. That's fine. We can deal with that. And just going back to what Ian was saying about, we had a couple of ropey results earlier on in the competition. Yeah, the teams that have beaten us this season are basically Man City, Napoli and Paris Saint-Germain. They're good teams.
Red Star.
Really, well, yeah, I left that one on. But you know what I mean? Like, I mean, yeah, you're going to, as you say, every now and then you're going to get one thrown in where it's like, oh, that didn't go very well. There were dodgy moments at that stage. But Porto, at the end of the day, Porto were not as good as Liverpool. They were happy to leave Anfield with a 2-0 defeat. And the reality is, do they think, go and speak to their manager and say, how are you going to turn this around? And the problem he's got is everything that the Munich manager said. He said, well, if we open up, they'll destroy us. So I'm going to go into this game hoping it's 0-0 after half-time, and then we'll see where we get to from there, because we need to keep a clean sheet, and that's going to be the hardest thing to do. Whether we can score at the other end, who knows?
And all the other stuff as well that they might want to lean on, that the manager might want to lean on, all of it's no surprise to Liverpool, is it? I mean, they were there last season and they won 5-0. And so with this any idea that, you know, it's going to be scary because of the atmosphere, scary because it's a new stadium, you know, scary because of their home record and the fact that they are right at the top of the league, that they won again at the weekend, that they've beat Roma. Like, none of this will scare Liverpool, though. They've gone to Bayern Munich and won. They've been to Porto last season and won comfortably. So it's sort of like, and we've won 2-0 in the first leg. So it's like, this fella's team talk's a nightmare, isn't it? What's he saying?
Well, you're right, though. It's not new territory, is it, for Liverpool? Yeah. And we're now a side that's getting used to playing in very big football matches. So with that comes experience, a resilience. And I just, it's really hard to make a case for Porto. No, they'll be a side in their own league. I think I said it on one of the shows recently. They'll be used to having lots of the ball and dominating possession. But against us, they won't have loads and loads of the ball. We'll probably have more of the ball than them, which you can see that'll have an effect on them from a legs point of view. You could see it maybe even towards the end of the first half in the first leg. You know, they're used to having the ball a lot. We're making them chase. We're making them run. They won't like that on their own patch. And Liverpool can be patient. I think this is about very much not going in and being complacent, about killing hope. You know, if we get a goal early doors, or even in the first half, I mean, Porto need 4. I mean, with all the best will in the world, we're not chipping 4. I mean, something mad would have to happen for us to concede 4 goals. So they know they're on a knife edge as well. It just takes one chance. Whichever side, you know, Jürgen goes with, I'm sure we'll come on to it in a bit. No doubt the front three will probably still play, and you just feel that they're in a moment where all 3 of them look capable at the minute. You know, none of them are really having that kind of game where, or that time where maybe they're struggling. I think all 3 look like they're right on it. So yeah, Robbo, with the best will in the world, you can't see Porto getting anything out of this.
Well, Porto have lost the first leg of a European Cup tie on 6 occasions, and they didn't go through any of those times. 6 occasions they've lost by 2 goals is what I mean there, sorry. And so this is likely to be the situation again. What can their manager do? What can Klopp do? How will it go? Neil with the tactics board.
With Pepe and Herrera back, there's a fair chance that Porto will change the shape. The 5-2-3 that they used may well only have been a one-off for that Liverpool away game. It was the first time they played it, all season in the league, first time they played it in the Champions League, that 5-2-3. If they do it, we know what it looks like. It's this. I think we're going to see more of, to be quite honest with you, over the course of the season. It's a little bit like that. But Herrera's back and Pepe is back as well. Pepe is another centre-half as well, obviously, so he could well get in there. I think it'll mean that you'll have Telles and Militao, though, back at full back, and they're meant to be dangerous weapons for Porto, certainly on their own ground, and I think they'll use them as a back 4, the 2-0 behind in the tie after all. Tiquinho and Marega will start up front, be really surprised if not. That's what we've seen, that's what they've done all the way through the tournament. It's what they did in the last leg against Roma and against Schalke in that little difficult game that they had in qualifying right the way through the group. So, you know, this is basically what I think we're going to see from Porto. I think it will be this. You know, Tiquinho might go a little bit deeper. Marega may well push up a little bit more, come back in and help out the midfield. I think that's the way in which it is going to go. Obviously, Casillas in goal as well. That is the side that we're likely to face here from a Liverpool point of view. It's an uncomplicated setup. It's one that Liverpool will be used to facing. It's 4-4-2/4-2-3-1 with little bits and pieces in there as well. But you never know. It could be another back 5. They could surprise us again after all of our preparatory work. The other thing, though, which remains a threat, the manager mentioned it after the game in the first leg, is the set pieces. Porto's set pieces are good. We ran the numbers before the game. I hope you saw that. But also, you can tell little things that happen in grounds when there's a thing opposition supporters do when they feel as though we're a threat from set pieces. Corners are cheered that little bit more lustily. Free kicks around the area are also cheered as, yep, this is a real opportunity for us. And Porto are that sort of side, and they'll be hoping to get a bit of joy from that. Liverpool will have to be prepared, they'll have to be organised. Liverpool will have to be professional, but then that's the one thing they've been all season.
Thanks to Neil there. Yeah, so I mean, the two teams then, Pepe and Hector Herrera are back from suspension for Porto. Robertson's obviously available for us. He wasn't available in the first leg, of course, so he could slot straight back in if that's what the manager wants to do. I mean, what you see the manager doing, it was intense the second half in particular against Chelsea. There was stats there for Fabinho, for example, saying that he basically run 7 miles in that match. So he might want to put his feet up for this one. You know, Wijnaldum's a late sub. Henderson took a knock, although the manager's already come out and said that that's not a problem. You said before that you don't really see him sort of rotating the front three given the form. But is there not a attempt? I mean, there's a few there. I'll let you answer the question now. But I mean, you got Origi there. You could freshen up the midfield. You could maybe change it at centre half. What are you doing, or what do you want the manager to do?
I think the manager rotates at centre half, so I think there's a case for taking Mata back out again, giving him a break, putting Lovren back in. I don't think Joe Gomez is ready yet, is he, to play a game of this magnitude. I think the fact that Wijnaldum and Milner don't start against Chelsea leads me to think they'll probably start this one. I think it makes loads of sense to do that, to be honest. I would probably be asking Fabinho to go again. I think I'd have an hour, maybe that Huddersfield game at home in a couple of weeks and say, listen, that's when you get your rest. I don't think you need him in that game, particularly given Huddersfield's shite. I'm relegated. So I think I'll be asking Fabinho to go again. I think Wijnaldum and Milner gives you that solidity as well. Liverpool don't need to go chasing this. You know, I think people will probably want Keita to start, but I don't think the manager will start him. And maybe start him at Cardiff. And the front three, you would like maybe to give one of them a rest, because you do think, when did he get a rest? Maybe it is that Huddersfield one where you give, you know, again, one of them the night off. But because the game is still, it's hugely important, Robbo. And even though we've said, you know, you can't see Liverpool kind of dropping the bollock here and fucking letting them back into it, I wouldn't be taking any chances. I think you look to win it maybe in the first 60 and then say, right, maybe you can take 1 or 2 off then. But I'd be going with the front three.
What about you, Paul? Anything different to that?
I always think it's interesting with games like this, because the sort of sensible approach is to just stay solid and say, we basically keep a clean sheet and you're through, and it doesn't matter. But there's the other argument Ian touched on there, just go and blitz them.
Yeah.
Get out there and score a goal and it's finished, and then you can take some of your big lads off up front. Because I agree, we saw this last season. Whilst he rotates other things, there's something I don't think enough is talked about, is that there's the ability to rest in game. Yeah. And I think there's a massive difference for your front three between playing a game like Chelsea, where they're having to put lots in and lots of running and lots of work, and playing away to Porto, where there's an opportunity for them really to rest on the pitch, and they can just wait to break, because we can sit in and we can explode when we need to. I don't know, did Gomez play for the 23s
against Leicester? Yeah, he played. Yeah.
I think there's a possibility he plays right back, and he brings in. I think Lovren will almost certainly come in, and I'd probably quite like to see Gomez get an hour playing right back, give Trent a game off. Again, it all factors in. There's always multiple things that go into these decisions, and who's fit, what's the score with Henderson, his injury. They said post match that he was okay. And then what games have you got coming up that people can rest in, and can they get that far? With the likes of Trent, we've seen he's only a kid. Yeah. He needs a break sometimes, and I think as well, you've got to take into account things like he's just played some massive games and he's just had a test, and it was only the last sort of half hour. But playing up against Eden Hazard, I'm sure that wasn't sort of a nice break for him. Would have taken a lot out of him. That. So, yeah, if Gomez is fit, I'd give him an hour, definitely. I think, would I leave Fabinho in? Again, it depends. It depends how much work you think he's going to have to do in that. If you play Fabinho with Wijnaldum and Milner, then arguably he doesn't have to do as much running, because those two can sit in deeper, and he's playing in a 3-man midfield instead of playing by himself, which we've seen so many times. When you play in that position, you're almost playing centre midfield by yourself, and that's why you're running 7 miles. But if you can create a structure in which he doesn't need to do that much running, then arguably could get another game out of them.
I mean, what Kobe's touching on, Liverpool did a bit of this in the first leg. I mean, they won 2-0, but it was fairly comfortable, and it felt like a foot came off the gas with Chelsea in mind, didn't it? And okay, they got in a couple of times, maybe a couple of chances there that they could have done better with. But overall, they didn't pose much of a threat, although there is this thing I mentioned at the top in that, you know, they're absolutely awful away and generally better at home. But nevertheless, you know, you kind of feel what Kobe's saying spot on in that if Liverpool, especially if they can grab that goal, they can take the foot off a little bit. They can just manage the game out and get into the semi-finals.
Well, what we've been really good at this season is managing games. So even if you think back to the Southampton game a few weeks ago, and you know, one or two criticised Liverpool in the first half, I probably did myself a little bit because I thought we started sloppy. But one thing you could say to kind of back the manager that night was we let them blow themselves out. You know, we managed the game really, really well. All right, we're a little bit sloppy in possession, but we grow into the game. And after 60 minutes, Southampton got nothing. And I think Liverpool knew that. And then we just take charge of the game then. So, yeah, I mean, Kobe's point there about the full-back area, I think in an ideal world, he would like to give Trent a night off. I don't think Joe Gomez is ready for a quarter-final in the Champions League just yet.
There's a decent gap as well, isn't there? You know, Cardiff Sunday, 4 o'clock as well.
There is. I mean, you could see maybe Milner pop up a full-back. He's done it before, hasn't he? So, whilst I don't think right-backs is the place where he wants to be, and I think there's been games where he's been good there, there's been games where he's struggled, he might look at that and think, well, I can get away with Milner at right-back for this game. And maybe he does play Keita in midfield alongside Wijnaldum and Fabinho. I think he'll... You know, whilst we've talked about Porto not really having a huge chance, there's no way the manager gets complacent here. He'll want to go as strong as he possibly can, taking into account all the data science stuff that he'll be given on his players. I don't think it makes sense to risk Henderson if he's took a knock. Doesn't look too bad, but I know the big game on Sunday, albeit, you know, we've got a 4-day break. I think you'll see Henderson come back in there. I just think it makes loads of sense to get legs in and around Fabinho. And as I say, the front three, it just needs to be the front three, because whilst I think Origi's come on and done bits and looked okay as a sub, you never really feel he's a huge goal threat, and I just think the importance of that goal, it just takes the game away from them, Robbo, completely.
Predictions then, boys? Kopi?
I haven't even thought about this. I think do you know what? They had some chances.
They did,
had some chances at Anfield, and it was one of the things I've been thinking about as I've been away. It's really interesting is that football, we've talked about it in the past, football's always, the narrative always, we always decide what that is afterwards a lot of the time based on who scored the goals. They could have easily nicked one at Anfield. So, look, we've seen Chelsea create some chances. I'd be surprised if we keep a clean sheet, I'd say. So, 2-1 win.
Okay. I'd agree with 2-1. I think Pepe coming back in for them, it's dead interesting because he's a fucking nutcase.
Do you know what? I love people are talking about it like it's a great thing for them. Like one of our best players is coming back and like he's a lunatic.
Yeah,
he's an absolute lunatic.
I can't wait to see what he does.
Getting sent.
Honestly, he's been sent loads, hasn't he? And up against the lads he's going to be up against, you can imagine his head just goes. Yeah. So I think it's going to be dead interesting.
How old is he now? 50 odd?
Yeah, about 55.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's been the preview show.
Sorry to interrupt, can I just say before the internet, this is my first day back on YouTube, before the internet gets older.
Back in the basement soon.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, did the memo get lost to Ian about what kit we were wearing today?
I was going to mention that before, you didn't get the maroon sock
I like it.
memo, did you? But, you know, next time can you check your emails before you come on the show, lad?
Feel a bit sick now.
Anyway, that's been the preview show, as I say. We're going to end with a couple of the boys and girls from the Anfield app are out in Porto. Lucky them, smashing the Superboc and all that. So here's Gibbo and here's Craig telling you about what you can look forward to in terms of coverage from them, because as ever, the Anfield app is at every single game, doing podcasts, doing video, doing content, doing bits of writing. Look at theanfieldapp.com if you haven't done already. Up the fucking Reds. Here's Craig and John.
Hello, we're in Porto. It is John Gibbons and Craig Hannon. We're in a lovely square. We're joining you, and we're going to talk about, well, the footy, but the weather as well. Everyone said it's just going to last out. I came last year, it did not stop raining. I got severe weather warnings this time, and it's beautiful, mate.
I've been looking every single day, fuming that it was going to be torrential rain. I looked and it was an 85% chance of precipitation. So we're 15% at the minute here, which is, it's going all right so far. Not one bit of rain. Yeah, it feels nice and sort of, it feels like somewhere to be on holidays. It feels different, and that's what's exciting about it.
If you know some other precipitation levels, text in. Let us know yours and we'll compare. We're at 85% here, but that 15% is just absolutely smashing it. And I mean, spirits are good, aren't they, Craig? We come here top of the league, we come here in a great position to go through to the Champions League semi-finals. Nice 2-0 from the first leg. It's not cut and dry, but we're in a great position.
I sort of had a little think after the Chelsea game about like how good these times are at the minute and how much we're all enjoying ourselves. And you know, this is a quarter-final of the Champions League, and like you say, 2-0 to go into the second leg. That's unbelievable. That just, you know, there's been far too many years in my lifetime, especially since the Rafa years, where we just haven't even got to do this at all. So to be able to do this, to be able to be 2-0 up going into the first leg, going to Porto to have a nice time after having just beat Chelsea to go top of the league in April. So you can't ask for much more, I don't think.
No, it's absolutely boss. And you know, in terms of the game itself, you know, Porto showed you had a little bit when they came to Anfield, you know, created a couple of little openings, and you know, we're generally a bit kind of more robust than they were like last year. But I mean, you just fancy Liverpool to score, don't you, with the way that we're attacking at the moment, the quality players that we've got. And if we do get a goal, I mean, then it's just really tough for Porto, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I think that this Liverpool side feels a lot more mature than what the last few have under Jurgen Klopp. I think we saw that at the weekend where we go 2-0 up, and you know, last year if we'd gone 2-0, that sort of chaos, the team would have almost fed off that chaos and gone on and got another one. But we just sort of calmed it all down and won 2-0. And I think I can't see a 5-0 happening this time. This Porto team will not allow that to happen in front of their fans again. They'll be up for it. The fans will be up for it, and they'll probably think that if they can get one early, then anything could happen in this game. But I think this Liverpool side, if that does happen, that this Liverpool side have it within them just to calm things down, not to panic, keep their heads, and to go on and get one. Like you say, if we get one, I think this tie's over.
It's a little bit quiet here at the moment, but last year just down there was absolutely banging come match day, so I think it will be as well. So if you're coming over to Porto, enjoy yourself, get stuck here, hopefully say hello and we'll see it as well. But yeah, it's a great week to be a Liverpool fan, it's a great week to be in Porto, and I just want to do a little bit of a scoop for you because we couldn't decide which backdrop to use. So this is the one we were going to use, which is a nice building as well, but we thought the open Cosmopolitan Square. But if you disagree, let us know in the comments below. And yeah, back to everyone in Liverpool. Cheers.